Today, I'm going to be drawing your requests from Instagram. A little while ago, I asked people on my Instagram to send me characters or ideas to draw for a video. And honestly, this ended up being one of the most fun things I've done in a while. So if you want your requests featured in a video, definitely follow my Instagram because I actually do read all the replies. The requests I got from left to right are Ada Wong, who was requested by my friend Virus, shout out Virus, I'll put his Instagram here, who wanted me to draw her because I drew Leon Kennedy in my last post. And then Arthur Morgan, who I'm glad was requested because I love Red Dead Redemption 2. And then Pinocchio, he's from Lies of P, who I didn't really know much about before. And then vantacrow from Nijisanji N, requested by my friend Ree. Their art is literally amazing, by the way. Go follow them immediately. I don't actually know much about nijisanji besides the fact that their character designs are really good and everyone is attractive for no reason. Next was haru urara, which I'm not gonna lie, I had a tough time on because I'm not that good at drawing girls, and actually several of these requests I drew beforehand, like Haru and Pinocchio and Vanta, before I landed on drawing them here. Next is Subaru from ReZero, who I actually had a lot of fun with. I think that I've only watched like 2 episodes from the anime, so I might have to rewatch after this. But next is Ryland Grace from Project Hail Mary, requested by my good friend Eggs. Shout out Eggs because I actually tried drawing him before and I gave up because my realism sucks, but I'm so glad he was requested and how he came out. I read the book recently before seeing the movie, and I read it in probably like 3 days because it was so good. And I cried during the movie, but don't tell anyone. And then the last is Triple T, shout out Nick, who requested this one. And he was honestly really fun to draw because he was simple, honestly. But the real reason I wanted to do requests was because I needed a way to figure out how to manufacture motivation. When I tell you I had to manufacture motivation for these drawings, I had to get through. I went back and forth to these characters a lot, and every surge of motivation I had was poured into completing a tiny percentage of these characters per day. Since there's like 8 of them, I started off with all the sketches first, and I tried working on them one by one, but eventually it just became me tweaking parts that were already almost done per character. And I think a lot of artists secretly do this because when someone else is expecting something from you, it becomes easier to finish compared to just making art alone in your room with zero structure. Like if I was to tell myself I should draw today, it's easy for me to ignore. But if someone specifically asks me, can you draw this character? Now suddenly my brain treats it like a mission and there's accountability. So before drawing the characters I was unfamiliar with, I did a little research just to understand the vibe of them more. And honestly, I think that helps a lot before drawing them. Not in a technical way, but more like emotionally. Just understanding their personality and the energy they give off, it all changes how you draw them. Honestly, I feel like this applies to almost everything in life. In school, whenever I had projects, especially creative projects I actually cared about, the deadline motivated me to push myself harder. Not because I love pressure, but because there was a deliverable. Something had to exist at the end. And I realized personal art can feel difficult because there's no external consequence if you don't do it. No one's waiting and no one notices. So sometimes you have to create fake stakes for yourself. That's why I'm calling this how to ethically force yourself to draw. It's not in a toxic grind set way, but more like creating systems that gently corner you into creating, because motivation is honestly unreliable. Recently, I graduated college and now I'm looking for work in my field. And dude, the job market right now is actually so cooked, like genuinely terrifying. I've been applying, fixing my portfolio, going to networking events, even went to a job fair for the first time in my life and done like a couple internships. And I think that uncertainty kind of destroyed my motivation for everything for a bit, especially art. Because when life feels unstable, creativity can become harder. You start feeling guilty for resting, guilty for drawing, and guilty for not being productive enough. At least for me. But I've been realizing recently that constantly grinding isn't always the answer. Sometimes working longer isn't better than making smarter decisions. There's so much online advice that basically tells you to work harder, to lock in, and to grind. But honestly, it's just a lot of noise. Because if your mental state is terrible, your work quality drops anyway. Sometimes the better decision is resting. Sometimes the better decision is cleaning your room, going outside, watching a movie, taking a break from doom scrolling. Good judgment matters more than endless effort. I've also been thinking a lot about why people struggle with routines, because I do this constantly where I'll have an amazing productive streak for like 5 days, and then one bad day happens and suddenly everything collapses. Or I'm not able to do my routine 100% in one day because I have something else that I have to do. But apparently there's a psychology behind this. A huge one is that all or nothing mindset, where if you mess up once, your brain goes, well, I failed. So instead of missing one day, you end up quitting entirely. But real progress isn't about perfection. It's about recovery. How fast can you come back after slipping up? Another problem is overwhelm. I think a lot of us try to reinvent our entire lives overnight, waking up at 5 a.m., working out, journaling, meditating, drawing for 6 hours, drink water, become a new person, go to work, and then your brain gets exhausted immediately. So now I've been trying to think in ranges instead of streaks. Like instead of saying I have to draw every single day, maybe the goal is just draw 3 to 5 times this week, or even just draw for 5 minutes. Basically, 5 minutes usually becomes more anyways. And if it doesn't, that's still way better than 0. I also realized that burnout isn't always solved by trying harder. Sometimes what you actually need is new input. Recently, I rewatched Death Note and I started listening to completely different music and deleted my playlist because I was tired of hearing the same songs over and over and over again. Weirdly enough, discovering new music brought back old creative feelings I forgot I had. I also started cleaning out my space more, and I know that sounds unrelated, but generally when my room gets messy, my brain gets messy. Your environment affects your creativity way more than you realize. Another huge thing is consuming long-form content again. Not just scrolling, not just reels, I'm talking movies, TV shows, immersive games, things that actually sit with you. I played Nier Automata recently, and the soundtrack alone made me want to create again. Sometimes you need a completely different perspective brought by different media because routine, sameness kills inspiration. You stop noticing things, and art needs observation. And side note, when I first started coloring these, I genuinely felt like I forgot how to color because sometimes I overcomplicate rendering so much. But one thing that helps me is picking a base color for the entire piece first, like having one dominant mood color that everything slightly shifts towards. I didn't do this in the beginning because I honestly forgot, but it makes the drawing feel more cohesive immediately. And honestly, simplifying your process in general helps a lot when you're burnt out. When you're exhausted, don't make art harder than it needs to be. So honestly, this video was kind of less about drawing requests and more about trying to figure out how to keep creating when life feels uncertain. I know those who requested me got to see their characters drawn, but I actually got more from the lessons it taught me along the way. So shout out all the people who submitted something. You guys keep me going. I don't think motivation magically appears, and I think sometimes you have to build systems around yourself that make creating easier. Ask friends for requests, join art challenges, post your progress publicly, create accountability. Ethically force yourself to create, not through guilt, not through punishment, but by making creativity easier to return to. Anyway, thanks to everyone again who sent requests. This was genuinely super fun and honestly helped me reconnect with drawing again. And if you want to be in the next one, follow my Instagram and leave me more characters to draw. I might do another one of these videos. All right, I'll see you guys.